a rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Oh, so Trump decides to take a golf outing over in Scotland, where golf was invented. And, of course, the left immediately had to jump on it. Yeah. Apparently, there was a video that came loose of one of the caddies who appears to take a ball and drop it as he is walking, as he is walking away. And, I mean, again, I don't really know. The video's kind of grainy. We're not really sure what it is, although it appears to be a white ball that he drops out. But anyway, I don't know. The left is, of course, saying that he cheats at golf. I'd be really surprised if that were the case. But anyway, of course, the leftists are going to say whatever the hell they can in order to try and get under the skin of Donald Trump. So supposedly he also, and I don't follow Donald Trump's golf outings or anything like that. I mean, that's not what, I mean, frankly, I really don't care about Pasture Pool that much, but he, apparently he won some sort of a golf tournament, one of his own Trump golf tournaments or whatever. And, this is whatever. I don't really care. I mean, honestly, I really don't. But that being said, he also, secured something very crucial, another trade deal. We'll have more on that here in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. I'm kind of like mashing those two together. Anyway, let's go ahead and get things kicked off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight is Ms. T. Ms. T is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me, and place your hand over your heart and follow along with Ms. T as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Ms. T, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your version of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing or reciting the pledge in your style, then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file that you create, send it off to me, attach it to an email, and send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. Okay, so tonight's headline sponsor is me. That's right. I am wearing one of my logoed shirts here. You can see it. Oh, let me step away from the mic, but here it is. There is one of the logos, one of the versions of the logos. And what you can do is head on off to store.americanperspective.online. Make sure you spell it right. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can tend to misspell my own name sometimes. But anyway, send it off to store.americanperspective.online, and you can take a look and you'll see all of my wonderful styles. I've got crew neck sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies. Yeah, there they are. There's the hoodies. And then, of course, tank tops, both men's and women's. I've got women's racerback tank tops, and apparently my shirt has rounded corners, at least according to 3 Chevy. You can also find a link to connect to my affiliate for the Institute on the Constitution, for the leather-bound U.S. Constitution that you see so often here on this show. You can purchase one of them from the Institute on the Constitution as well. You can also find on the second page, and it may take a minute for it to load. Oop, if I can get it to actually click on it. Oh, come on. What's going on here? Why are we doing this? Anyway, don't know why it's having a funny time loading, but anyway, here we go. You can also go to the second page and you can find the Old Whiskey Musings store link, which takes you to the Whiskey Musings store, I believe. And then also you can see I have some glassware, so stainless steel travel mug, water bottle, ceramic mug. If you're interested in getting a 17-ounce latte mug, you can do that. And then, of course, there's the women's Racerback tanks. You can all look at all of this by heading off to store.americanperspective.online and pick something up for yourself today. I guarantee you the prices are probably some of the lowest you'll ever find on quality shirt and sweatshirt and other kinds of items across the interwebs, because I don't take that much. I really don't. I try to keep the costs low because I know that everybody, of course, is watching and pinching pennies nowadays, just because. But anyway, head on over to store.americanperspective.online. That's store.americanperspective.online and check all of it out. And I would appreciate it. I appreciate anything that anybody purchases from me, because that helps support the show, of course. All right. So, let's talk about a couple of fools. Yeah, let's actually talk about a couple of fools. There's actually 3 of them in the Fool's File tonight. And we're going to start off with the Fool's File. The Fool's File, they're a bunch of fools, yes. First one up is Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert, you know how he got canceled off of his night show? Well, apparently somebody organized an actual protest this weekend in New York City. And basically, nobody showed up. The We're with Colbert protest garnered, according to PJ Media, this piece that I'm reading from, apparently only garnered about 20. Mostly bored protesters. Yeah, like nobody showed up. I thought this guy was like some, everybody was like, oh yeah, Stephen Colbert, oh, he's the greatest. He's great show. We have so much, out of the million or so people that he was watching, I think it was 2 million that might have been watching him. Reportedly, according to the CBS, the Colbert show was actually losing. That's right, losing 40 million in money. But anyway, somebody organized this. We're with Colbert, and like I said, 20 showed up, and apparently only briefly. There was supposedly a masked defender of democracy carrying a homemade sign there that read "Go F yourself" above a Photoshop collage of like 3 different black church choirs. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, there's, yeah. Now the protesters apparently appeared to be younger than what would be the new normal for the left these days. But only one of them appeared to be what the outlet PJ Media is calling freshly exhumed. Yeah. So here, let me go ahead and Just, yeah, what a way to show your support for your show, for your television show, with nothing. Anyway, here, take a look. Here it is. Oh yeah, I'm with Colbert.
And I think that it's disgusting.
Yep.
When we can't even depend on the courts to defend our democracy anymore. And that is why we are here today, to be maliciously compliant to our First Amendment right to stand up to this regime. And that's exactly what this is.
Yeah,
it is a regime. This is not an administration. We did not vote for this.
Look, this guy's sitting over there and he's ranting and raving about it. Not even a single person's really listening. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had an impact. Oh, yeah, that was... Shoot, my grandmother's book club got more people. Anyway. Oh, anyway, so, yeah, the protesters, protested and they got it out of their system. So there you go. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, it's just, seriously. Oh, these guys will protest a ham sandwich. They'll say that ham is demeaning to pork. Yeah. Actually, they'll probably just, fight against the meat because most of them are like vegans or vegetarians or whatever. But anyway, I just thought that was hilarious. Yeah, we're gonna go and we're gonna talk about Colbert. We're gonna fight against Colbert. CBS has no right to cancel it. Really, CBS has no right to cancel their own show that they are spending $40 million. Actually, they're spending more than that, but that's how much they're losing is $40 million. So, yeah, if I caused my employer to lose that amount of money, I would be expecting a pink slip as well. Just saying. Well, this is going to date me. I'm serious. This is going to date my I'm going to be dating myself here because I actually saw this woman on CBS News when I was growing up. And she decided to crawl out of whatever hole she ended up in after she left the network and is now starting to say that this entire thing with Colbert and the Paramount merger, which, by the way, was already in the works, just to make things clear, it was already in the works prior to Trump suing CBS for the misleading and doctored 60 Minutes segment that Kamala Harris was on. So, for them to sit there and say that this was Trump's doing and that Trump sued them to try and get the money and, is blocking the merger, which, by the way, Trump doesn't even have really any say in the merger. It's the FCC that does. And the FCC approved the merger. These leftists are all saying that all of this is tied to Colbert and everything. No, this is all stuff that was in the works regardless of whether Trump won or not. Just because he happened to win doesn't mean anything realistically in the long grand scheme of things, but I digress. So this former CBS anchor, Connie Chung, that's right, Connie Chung shows up out of nowhere. I wasn't even aware she was still alive. But anyway, she warns the Paramount merger marks the end of CBS and what she calls honest journalism. Now, that's the part that really got me going, is the whole honest journalism. We don't have honest journalism anymore, realistically, in any of the mainstream media outlets. Doesn't matter whether it's CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, RFP, RSTLN, whatever. I don't know. We just don't have honest journalism anymore. We really don't. And according to Connie Chung, which she was on a CNN show with, let's see, who is it that she's with on this thing? Anyway, she basically is saying that the recent merger between Paramount Global and Skydance Media could be the end of journalism as she once knew it. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure. Anyway, the FCC announced that it had approved the $8 billion merger between the two companies on Thursday, with the deal set to close on August 7th. Based on the newly formed company Paramount Skydance Corp., Connie Chung, who was a former CBS Evening News anchor, suggested that the network that she was a part of could lose all of its independence. Well, no kidding, sweetheart. They were bought by another company. Of course it can lose some of its independence. I don't know where these people come up with this idea. When you have a company buy out another company, guess what? That first company actually owns the second company and can do with it pretty much what it wants. I don't know where these people are getting this idea. But anyway, Chung said on CNN News Central that I fear the end of CBS as I knew it. Oh no, CBS has been long gone from when you knew it, sweetheart. Anyway, CBS was always a standalone network. It was autonomous. The news division was autonomous. Really? Was it? Mm-hmm. Anyway, she continues and says, and it was always unencumbered by the pressures from politicians, including presidents, and unencumbered by bean counters. Yeah. I don't think I have anything really to say about that. Much. Anyway, she says, but now I can very clearly see the days that I remembered are long gone. She continues and says, honest, unbiased, fact-based journalism is being tainted, and those who practice that journalism, like Edward R. Murrow and Walter Cronkite, that kind of journalism has disappeared. Well, she's got that right. She continues, says, I also fear that gone are the days of Frank Stanton, who was the president of CBS, who defended the rights of journalism, the First Amendment, the Fourth Estate before Congress. And he represented all journalists in many ways. Chung placed more blame on Paramount's controlling shareholder Sherry Redstone and Skydance Media CEO David Ellison for having tainted journalism with their greed. He also called out the company's pledge not to implement any new DEI initiatives as a result, or as an insult to her and other women and minorities at CBS. So in other words, she just went on a CBS hating rant and basically is, yeah. I'm sorry, but yes, Walter Cronkite, the days of Walter Cronkite are completely gone. I mean, the days are gone of the news media not having a bias. That's been gone for, I'd say at least a decade or more. So, sorry, Connie. You're about, 3 weeks too late, they say. So anyway, yeah. They're just having all kinds of issues with this whole thing. This whole CBS buyout. I mean, even though it was already in the works before Trump even got into office. I mean, there was, okay, so this business as usual. This is just moving forward. And again, with the Colbert thing, it's business. Colbert and his money, the money that he's losing. And let's be honest. I mean, the fact that late night comedy is pretty much as a genre, pretty much on the downswing anyway. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see where these people are getting off. I mean, other than the fact that they just like to complain and blame others. That's pretty much about all they do. Well, Eric Swalwell is, so we had Colbert and of course the morons that were running around doing their protest, all of 20 that showed up. And then you have Connie Chung, former CBS person. And now we have, of course, none other than Bang Bang Fang Fang, Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell tried, I already told you about over the weekend when he was talking about how, I could be working. He's floating in a pool. He's like, I could be working. And instead I'm here in the pool because Republicans decided to go on a vacation that was already pre-planned for like 9 months prior. that's been on the books for like months. But according to Eric Swalwell, that seems to be a bit of a problem for him anyway. Well, Mr. Bang Bang of Fang Fang, he decided to try and take a pot shot at Trump and Trump's criticism of Powell at the renovation. So Trump visited the Federal Reserve headquarters in Washington, D.C. to review the construction progress. The renovation, which was initially budgeted for $1.9 billion, has since increased cost to $2.5 billion. Yeah, that's because the government is running it. Anyway, the total cost is expected to reach $3.1 billion, according to the Federal Reserve documentation. Well, during his visit, President Trump, of course, confronted Chairman Powell about all the ballooning costs, pointing out discrepancies, bringing documentation to support his claims, so on and so forth. Powell did say that he denied the deny the total cost was going to reach $3.1 billion, but acknowledged that the project had a reserve fund that may be used for additional overruns. Anyway, what does this all have to do with Eric Swalwell, Bang Bang of Fang Fang? Well, he decided to go on X, and he decided to use the relatively confused look of Chairman Powell to essentially attempt to try and rip on Donald Trump by saying that when my wife tells me we're actually saving money with Rent the Runway. Now, Rent the Runway, by the way, because I had no idea what the hell this was. But anyway, Rent the Runway is apparently an online subscription service for designer clothing. There's only one problem here. He's, posting about a wife that he cheated on with a Chinese spy. Yeah, that didn't escape the notice of a few people. Not at all. Because here, Stephen Chung, who is Stephen Chung is the White House communications director, responded directly and said, when you look at a printout of your text exchange with Fang Fang. This guy Swalwell's never going to get away. I don't even understand. According to sources and according to investigations, Swalwell didn't do anything wrong here. But honestly, I mean, some of these people need to understand there is a level of embarrassment that you really should be feeling about some of this stuff. And you should probably go and like slink off into a hole somewhere out of public view and never come back because you're so embarrassed about everything that's going on. One of them being caught with the fact that you were with a known Chinese spy and you're a congressman. He also too, he posted something I think it was this past weekend where he was talking about spies and he wanted to, I don't know, it had something to do with him being part of some committee that deals with spies and spying in the White House or whatever. It's like, dude, you have literally zero self-awareness. You need to shut the hell up and look in a mirror there, buddy. You're sitting here talking about going after spies, within the White House. But anyway, yeah. I can't figure these people out. I really just don't understand. They have no sense of values. They have no sense of right and wrong. They've got no sense of personal responsibility at all. So yeah. And then they want to sit there and talk about Trump and his thing. Oh yeah, I can't forget that. Thanks for the reminder, Nana. So another thing that he posted, because again, I told you about all the posts, like he was in the pool saying, you know, I should be working right now, but I'm not because the Republicans took a recess. And then apparently he was in a gym somewhere and had his camera. I mean, this is cringy. This is really cringeworthy. But he had his camera. You know how people go and they go to the gym and they record themselves doing their exercises or whatever. Some people do it for a legitimate reason. They want to get an outsider's independent view, objective view, which, let me face it, the camera is very objective. But you want to get a view of what it is that you're doing so that you can maybe check your form or check to make sure that you're doing it properly or something along those lines. Well, Swalwell, he ends up laying down under the bench press, and he's doing this bench press, and it's basically the bar with two 45-pound weights on the end. Now, the bar itself weighs about 45 pounds. So when you go and you add that up, he was bench pressing only about 135 pounds. And realistically, regardless of the weight, he shouldn't have been talking while he was doing it, because there is proper breathing techniques that you should be using in order to prevent injury. He ignored all of that, which is probably the reason why he was doing such lightweight for a male anyway. But so many people got on and were like, dude, you're not even doing proper form. You're supposed to be going up and up, you know, into your eye range or whatever. And he tried to keep eye contact with the camera and things like that. I mean, people are just ripping this guy. I don't even understand why. He must have no shame. He must have literally no shame at all. I also remember, too, a photograph or something of him standing with a couple of younger girls out on, I don't know, the front steps or something of the Congress. And anyway, so it's just, I mean, these people, they just have no shame whatsoever. All right, well, let's get into President Trump and his weekend victories. So he was in Scotland. And of course, all the media could talk about is the fact that he was golfing in Scotland. Let's just throw this out here. Completely truth. All right. More business is done on the golf course than just about any other place on the planet. These people, businessmen, and this is one of the reasons why I'll probably never be an actual businessman, because I can't actually golf. I hack, and that's even on a good day. But in terms of being out on the golf course, making deals and everything else, even when he's out on the golf course, he can still be on the phone in between holes, making deals, talking to people. He could even have somebody with him that he's making deals with, so on and so forth. And so he went and made some major victories this weekend. First of all, he brought in a trade deal with the EU. And that just by itself, because that was one of those things where they were, a lot of people, a lot of the left were talking about, where are all these trade deals? Where are all these trade deals? Well, he's starting to get them. In case you haven't noticed, he's starting to get these trade deals, and he got one with the European Union. Now, right after that, he went to go to the UK Prime Ministers and meet with him. So don't be surprised if you see something else as well. Well, another thing happened while he was over there working all of this stuff out. And apparently there was some sort of a skirmish or dust up between Cambodia and Thailand. And so Trump calls up the Prime Minister of Cambodia and basically says, hey, you guys, I'm not even going to talk to you about anything going on until you stop fighting. And so what ends up happening? Well, they stop fighting. kind of interesting how a president who is supposed to be like a warmonger president and everything else, how he's stopping wars. I mean, I seem to recall him stopping a war in Africa, of all places, here just within the last month. But anyway, he said, we happen to be, by coincidence, currently dealing on trade with both countries, but don't want to make any kind of a deal with either country if they are fighting. And that's what he told them. He basically said, look, until you guys quit fighting, I can't deal with either one of you. So, yeah, they basically, both of them just basically were like, okay, well, that's it. Yeah, we're going to stop. And so they stopped. They agreed to a ceasefire deal right there. Right there. Talk about, capabilities. He basically wielded what would be considered the big stick and the carrot. He basically said, hey, look, the carrot is your trade deal. The big stick is, I'm not going to deal with you until you quit fighting. That's it. So, yeah. Oh, also, I can't forget the fact that Trump negotiated that India-Pakistan ceasefire here not too long ago. But I thought that Trump wasn't good at making deals. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, these people. They just, oh, yeah. So, speaking of the European Union deal, he went on with the European Union's, let's see, who is this? Sorry. Let's see, who is this? I'm not exactly sure who this is. The lady in here. This is somebody that I'm not really familiar with. But anyway, here, let me go ahead and I'll show you. This was the trade deal.
So we're going to do the following. The European Union is going to agree to purchase from the United States $750 billion worth of energy. $750 billion worth of energy. They are going to agree to invest into the United States $600 billion more than they're investing already. So they're investing a large amount of money. You know what that amount of money is. It's very substantial, but they're going to invest an additional $600 billion. They're agreeing to open up their countries to trade at zero tariff. So that's a very big factor. Opening up their countries, all of the countries will be opened up to trade with the United States at zero tariff. And they're agreeing to purchase a vast amount of military equipment. We don't know what that number is, but it's the good news is we make the best military equipment in the world, so sort of you have to do that, until somebody tops us, which is not going to happen. We're way ahead of every other country in terms of the quality of the military equipment. You saw that recently in Iran, and you see that, unfortunately, you see that often for all the wrong reasons, right? So those things are $750 billion, $600 billion, opening up the country.
So I'm just going to interrupt because that's like a 3-minute video, so I don't want to play the entire thing. But basically, he's announcing all these wonderful things that are going on over there. And, yeah, it's opening up the countries, zero tariffs, so on and so forth. I mean, I don't know how much more we can really talk about in terms of his winning. He is doing the things that he says he is going to do. Now, apparently, he was also supposed to meet with the UK PM Keir Starmer to discuss both trade and peace. So, yeah, anyway, there's just no stopping this. Now, some people, some on the left are like, oh my gosh, the EU, they just like rolled over the steamroller who is Trump. Well, who cares? I mean, seriously, who cares? This is a benefit. These are things that are a benefit for America. So, I'm failing to see where, and this is exactly, by the way, this is exactly what a president is supposed to be doing in conjunction with Congress in terms of handling things that are foreign connections. That's what this is all about. And it just, I don't seem to get and understand. Well, of course, I can't really understand leftists anyway, because they don't believe in actual science or actual reality. But hey, whatever. I guess we got to have all kinds, right? So anyway, oh, goodness. All right, let me go ahead and get this really quickly. Let's talk about Rumble Premium. So this sponsorship is from Rumble, and one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator, like myself. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought the platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook and themselves admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. I personally got some of my videos cut because of what was considered to be medical misinformation, even though it was factually accurate information. Rumble, of course, did not do any of this. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble itself is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with any brand advertisers because they don't get very much of those brand advertising dollars. Watching our show on Rumble is the most that they can ask from you, but if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO, that's STUDIO, when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium, and that /, by the way, is the question mark key on your keyboard. Go to rumble.com/premium. Use promo code STUDIO to get $10 off when you purchase an annual subscription. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, that's okay. We are just happy if you watch us on Rumble. Once again, go to rumble.com/premium. Use promo code STUDIO, STUDIO, to get $10 off when you purchase an annual subscription to Rumble Premium. Right. Well, we had a couple other things that have occurred. This in regards to the classified documents that have been declassified for Russiagate. So according to CIA Director John Ratcliffe yesterday, he was in an interview on Fox News, and he told Sunday Morning Futures that there are going to be some revelations coming from the former special counsel John Durham's report that's going to expose the entire Russiagate controversy. Well, rather than me telling you about it, let me go ahead and just let you listen to the man himself.
And joining me right now, back 7 years later in the Sunday Morning Futures exclusive, is the current director of the CIA, once again, John Ratcliffe. Director, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Great to see you, Maria. Great to be back with you.
And thank you for all of your truth-telling over the years. We will speak with Devin Nunes, who opened this up wide so many years ago. But I want to get your reaction to what we're seeing now with Tulsi Gabbard highlighting the truth here, as you have done so many years ago.
Well, Maria, before the intelligence community assessment that DNI Gabbard was talking about, and before Devin Nunes's report about that intelligence community assessment, before the Mueller investigation, before Crossfire Hurricane, there was this. In the summer of 2016, U.S. intelligence intercepted Russian intelligence talking about a Hillary Clinton plan to falsely accuse Donald Trump of Russia collusion, to vilify him and smear him with what would become known infamously as the Steele dossier. And Maria, this intelligence was so explosive that John Brennan briefed President Obama, Vice President Biden, Jim Clapper, James Comey, the entire national security team, telling them about this Hillary Clinton plan. Again, but think about this, Maria. That was in August of 2016, and yet it wasn't until more than 4 years later, in October of 2020, when I found, after an exhaustive search, John Brennan's handwritten notes and the underlying intelligence behind it that revealed exactly what happened. So for a 4-year period of time, the truth about the origins of the Russia collusion hoax was hidden from the American people. And unfortunately, Maria, as you recall, those same people were already at that point in time onto their next hoax, the Hunter Biden laptop. This was a month before the 2020 election. And unfortunately, what we saw with Joe Biden's election was another 4 years to be able to continue to bury the truth. And so it's only now, with Donald Trump having been reelected, that through DNI Gabbard, myself, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, all of this intelligence, all of this evidence that's been hidden and buried from the American people is finally coming to light.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting the clip off here, but basically you can see that it's not just one or two people who are saying this. This is a large, what essentially is considered to be a conspiracy. And what Ratcliffe continued and says that what hasn't come out yet and what's going to come out is the underlying intelligence that I have spent the last few months making recommendations about final declassification, and sent that to the Department of Justice. That will come out in John Durham Report Classified Annex. So apparently there's an annex that was part of the John Durham Report that was classified. And he continues and says, and what that intelligence shows, Maria, is that part of this was a Hillary Clinton plan, but part of it was an FBI plan to be an accelerant to that fake Steele dossier, to those fake Russian collusion claims, by pouring oil on the fire, by amplifying the lie, and burying the truth of what Hillary Clinton was actually up to. Yeah. So, yeah, it's, again, this is it's bigger than Watergate, folks. It just really is. Well, apparently there was another bombshell that came out as well. This in the Daily Fetched. John Bolton, who, by the way, John Bolton was seen on a leftist news outlet, can't remember which one, by yours truly. And he basically was saying that, oh, yeah, you know, what DNI Gabbard is saying is incorrect. You know, that she is, you know, she's not saying basically there's no criminality there or something along those lines. I mean, you know, that they are all going to toe the company line. Well, there apparently is a memo that was part of, or at least references part of, this whole thing of all these declassified documents. Now, keep in mind, she declassified and let loose a whole slew of documents. So as we go along, we're going to start learning more and more and more about all of this. But John Bolton apparently had a document that essentially stated, and I'm trying to find it here in the piece, but essentially states that he received this report, but didn't bother briefing President Trump on the contents of this particular memo. This memo, which was classified in 2018, was summarizing the intelligence alleging that Brennan himself played a central role in developing the claims of collusion between Trump and Putin. And so what Bolton apparently did is he allegedly did not brief President Trump on the contents of the memo, basically took the memo and secured it into a National Security Council safe. Journalist Paul Sperry brought this out and says, sources tell me in 2018, former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton received a classified memo summarizing the explosive report exposing how Brennan cooked up the Putin-Trump intel, but Bolton stuck it in a National Security Council safe and never bothered to brief Trump on it, believing the Brennan intel. Now, the report, of course, raises concerns about whether or not any of the senior officials within the Trump administration were withholding relevant information from the president at a critical time. Now, you recall that I've talked about this in the past. I've talked about the fact that the first Trump presidency appeared to have insiders. So Trump comes in, he's an outsider to all of this. And I'm going to use this as sort of evidence of this kind of scenario, what my theory of kind of what happened in the Trump term, Trump 1.0, is that Trump kind of leaned on some DC insiders to bring in other DC insiders. In his mind, he was thinking, okay, I'm going to be bringing these people in. They know the process. They know the procedures. They're going to take care of that. And he's, questioned them and that kind of stuff. They were saying whatever it was that they had to say in order to get in the positions. And once they got in there, then they started doing their subversion tactics. And they started blocking him at different terms, or different turns, I should say. And this is exactly why I was saying that in Trump 2.0, he needs to get rid of everybody. Just fire everybody from the top on down. Just get rid of all of them and start fresh with people who are outside the system. And that's part of the reason why he was bringing in people like Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi. That's just at the Justice Department. He brought in, Marco Rubio, who was sort of an insider because he was on, he was in Congress, but he switched over to the executive branch. It's all of these kinds of things that people don't seem to understand. Even John Bolton, who has actually defended the president or defended President Trump back in Trump 1.0 in a few places. But he still apparently has a bit of potential subversive kind of thing. Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, this is treason. Well, treason's kind of hard to prove, number one. And number two, the actual definition of treason has to include something like us being at war with somebody else in some kind of conflict or whatever. I don't think this goes quite to that level, goes quite to the level of treason, even though I have mentioned it's possible. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really say 100% one way or the other, but I do believe absolutely that every single one of these people who are being accused should be accused of seditious conspiracy, because that does not require having an outside entity that we would be at war with. That would just be these people acting in nefarious ways in order to usurp the proper and correct government, which includes, at the time, the election of President Donald Trump. So at the very least, these people should have as a part of their charges, seditious conspiracy. Anyway, so John Bolton, of course, you know, he's having all kinds of problems. He melted down. I'm not going to play the clip, but he melted down on News Nation and was talking about, you know, oh, this is so bad. This is so, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so wrong. Well, in a twist, in another conspiracy. Now, we sit here and we talk about all these conspiracies. I mean, what do we have? We have Obamagate / Russiagate. We have the Clinton email scandal. That was under Obama. We had Benghazi. We had Fast and Furious. We had, in the Biden administration, we had the fact that Biden completely ignored immigration laws. We had Cocaine Gate, which was the cocaine at the White House. We had this auto pen conspiracy that is running around. Well, the first few people that have gone to Congress to testify at the House Oversight Committee hearing investigating Biden's mental decline and, of course, the use of the auto pen, most of them have claimed the fifth. In a surprise move, though, Ron Klain, who served as Biden's White House chief of staff from January of 2021 to February of 2023, and was part of the Democratic chief of staff when Biden was vice president, he actually appeared voluntarily when subpoenaed and didn't claim a single time the Fifth Amendment. He answered all of the questions as asked, and he spoke quite frankly about these. Now, understandably, this is a closed-door session. So he's, you know, he's essentially, testifying, but he's testifying in a closed-door session. And other senior advisors like Annie Tomasini, Anthony Bernal, and the former White House Dr. Kevin O'Connor, they all invoked their Fifth Amendment right to self-incrimination. Ronald Klain did not. So either Ronald Klain knows something, or he doesn't feel like he personally did anything wrong that he could be criminally charged for. It'll be interesting to see what the final result is after all of these conversations that have been going on. So, yeah, we'll just kind of have to see what happens here with all of this. But I wanted to bring that up to you because even Representative Ro Khanna, who's a Democrat, said that Klain, quote, answered every single question, was fully cooperative. Ro Khanna said, I found Mr. Klain to be very credible. He answered every single question. He was fully cooperative. There are times where he asked about personal conversations. There are times where he was asked about personal conversations he had with the president, and he was forthcoming. Even Arizona Republican Representative Andy Biggs praised Klain's cooperativeness and his tendency not to invoke the Fifth Amendment right. Biggs posted on X, unlike other Biden officials the committee has deposed, Klain is not asserting any executive privilege or invoking his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. So, that being said, though, Biggs also pointed out that many questions remain unanswered, especially in light of the recent Hunter Biden interview. Arizonan Republican said, I still have many unanswered questions regarding who was running the country and Joe Biden's mental and physical acuity, especially in light of Hunter Biden's revelation that his father was being drugged with Ambien. So that might have opened up something for that. Yeah. Okay. Speaking about that, Chuck Todd had some comments about the media outlets actually wanting to talk to Hunter Biden again Now, keep in mind, I mean, Chuck Todd and Chuck Todd and Hunter Biden are not like buddy. All right. But Todd apparently spoke up during his podcast, the Chuck Todd Cast, after Hunter Biden gave a slew of interviews that was essentially boiled down to a bunch of expletive laden attacks on anyone who either failed to support his dad or who had supported Donald Trump in any way. Well, Chuck Todd says, I will never book Hunter Biden. I have no interest in what he has to say for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's not the candidate. He wasn't on the ballot. Anything that he says in defense of his father, whether it's true or not, hold on, sorry. I don't know whether it's true or not, but it doesn't matter. He's a son defending his father, and my guess is he's going to defend him to the hilt. So I just kind of think, I take every one of his anger pieces of anger and criticism and just sort of chalk it up to, he's defending his dad and he loves his dad. And he says, I have a real problem with the folks that are booking him. If you've chosen to book Hunter Biden, you've chosen to book spectacle. You're not interested in. And the two interviews that have gone viral were both designed to get attention, not to surface any new facts, not to give a better understanding of what may have happened. It was just let's give him a platform to settle some scores that maybe he wants to settle. Well, he's not necessarily wrong about that. I mean, let's be real about it. Anyway, he finished it off with this. I don't think this does Hunter Biden any good. I don't think this does Joe Biden any good. It certainly doesn't do the Democrat Party any good. And that's why, let's see, I lost it. Sorry. Where is it? Yeah. And that's why it's surprising to see the former DNC chair start a podcast and decide that the best way to market it is Hunter Biden. He kind of took a swipe at the other gentleman that I told you about. So anyway, people are not all that happy about this necessarily. I mean, I can't say that they're necessarily wrong because let's be honest. I mean, Hunter Biden is sort of a known quantity of lies. We have a bunch of evidence from his own laptop. He is a sick individual, former cocaine addict, former, tax dodger, throwing the gun away kind of guy. So I don't know if I'd necessarily want him to be a part of it, but hey, if you want to get some ratings, I guess. I don't know of anybody that would really want to watch Hunter Biden anymore, especially after his expletive-laden interviews, the recent ones about the whole thing. Anyway. One last thing before we head off. Reportedly, Ghislaine Maxwell, her lawyers have said that she has discussed about 100 different people with the DOJ. So she has pretty much, according to her lawyer, she has basically dropped names, 100 different names for it. Her attorney, David Oscar Marcus, stated that his client answered all of the questions posed to her without invoking privilege or refusing to respond. She answered every single question asked over the last day and a half. There were a couple of days where they were talking. She answered those questions honestly, truthfully, and the best of her ability, according to her own lawyer. Again, there was some criticism that she had a bit of immunity. And honestly, that's what you do. If you've already been convicted of a crime, you invoke immunity so you don't get charged with anything further if any of your testimony or any of the information that you give results in exposing yourself even more. Either you can plead the fifth or you can ask for immunity. She was given restricted immunity. restrictive immunity, seeing as how she was about to give a whole bunch of information on stuff that she may or may not have already been charged with. So it's nothing unusual, honestly, in this. But it'll be interesting to see what kinds of things she brings out to the fold. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, hit those thumbs up, or if you really want to, thumbs down, across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.